Hello, everyone. Mike Tersini, founder of Merchants Arena here, and I'd just like to welcome you to another episode of the Expert Series, bringing you the top experts in their field, sharing their knowledge to help you become more successful. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming Larry Johanson. To undertake and achieve challenging goals and objectives requires unwavering willpower and an invincible mindset. A mindset that's impervious to failure and relentless in its pursuit of its objectives. It's the mindset that successful entrepreneurs cultivate. In his new book, From Carp to Dragon 7 Strategies to Awaken, Cultivate, and Transform the Dragon in You, author, speaker, and life coach Larry Johanson calls this mindset the Dragon's Mindset. Larry will share with us the elements that make up the Dragon's Mindset and how to cultivate this mindset in our ongoing expert series. Larry graduated from the University of Windsor, Ontario with a master's degree in communication studies. He's worked in public relations, advertising, and social marketing before going into the field of learning and development. For the past 15 years, he's led seminars and facilitated workshops in Australia, Britain, Canada, and the US in leadership, communication, and personal development. He also co-facilitates the Facilitation Skills module of the Master's Certificate in Adult Education at the Schulich School of Business in Toronto. His simple mission is to be a conduit of inspiration and joy, no matter what age and circumstance. Welcome, Larry.
Great. Well, thanks, Mike. And let me just get my presentation up. Beautiful. So I'm going to start now. I want to thank you for inviting me to give this talk on cultivating the dragon's mindset. And the title, "Cultivating the Dragon's Mindset," is actually the second chapter of my new book, From Carp to Dragon: 7 Strategies to Awaken, Cultivate, and Transform the Dragon in You. And before getting into the talk, I'd like to just take some time and just set the context for the book and for the title. Just very quickly, just to give you a sense of who I am. I grew up in Kingston, Jamaica. I lost my father at age 15, and his death left us in dire financial and emotional straits. And so, as a young person, what I did is that I set out on a vision quest to see what would it take to extricate myself from the context and the situation that I found myself in. And what I started to do was to read books on success, and gradually began to discover general and universal principles that contribute to success and achievement. One of the books that I discovered was The 3 Pillars of Zen, and it was one of the most important discoveries for me, because later on I met the author himself, Roshi Philip Kapleau, and I was so struck by the presence of Roshi Kapleau that I decided that I wanted to be like him. And so I took up Zen meditation, and when I took up Zen meditation is when I encountered the image of the carp leaping up the waterfall to become a dragon. So this is how a carp becomes a dragon. How does a carp become a dragon? Well, a carp becomes a dragon by taking that kind of transformational leap. So the whole purpose of Zen meditation is to come to enlightenment, and enlightenment is really a state of grace out of which love, joy, compassion, and equanimity grows. And so the carp leaping up the waterfall is a symbol of the determination of the Zen student to become enlightened. Now, the story of the carp who leaps up the waterfall to become a dragon is taken from Chinese mythology. And the story goes that carp would swim upstream the Yellow River to spawn. And standing in their way was a waterfall called the Dragon's Cave, the Dragon's Gate. And only those carp who could leap high enough to get over the fall would pass on upstream. Well, the interesting thing is that if the carp leaped high enough, miraculously, it would be transformed into a dragon. Now, the question is, what is the symbolism of the dragon in Chinese mythology? Dragon in Chinese mythology is a creature of heaven, unlimited and unbounded by time and space. It has the power to control the weather, and its passage across the sky is accompanied by thunder, lightning, and rain. The dragon also represents immortality, prosperity, good fortune, and the imperial authority of the emperors. So the book really is about becoming the most magnificent person one can be, or in the words of Abraham Maslow, becoming a self-actualized person. One just doesn't grow into a self-actualizing person, however. That takes work and it takes effort. As a matter of fact, if you don't exert yourself and thrust against gravity like a spaceship, slipping, as it were, the surly bonds of Earth, you can by default be pulled down into a deep pit of mediocrity. So to transform from a carp to a dragon requires you to act. And this is embedded in the title of the book, is the word act, A-C-T, in awaken, cultivate, and transform. So each of those, the first letter of each of those words form the word act. And that is really, in a sense, the secret of becoming a dragon, taking action and taking that leap. So who are the people now that symbolize the dragon in today's society? Today's dragons, and people can see who these dragons are. These are the famous figures in CBC's The Dragon's Den. And these are the people who, more than anybody else, embody the dragon archetype. And in a lot of ways are like the emperors of China. You know, and they're the entrepreneurs who, through hard work, great determination, vision, and a bit of luck, amass great wealth and the power and influence that come with great wealth. Now, let's talk about identifying the dragon in you. And so what is this dragon? What is the dragon in you? And in my book, what I say is that the dragon in you is the vast area of unrealized potential that you're all born with. So it is something that is hardwired into your DNA. All of us have the capacity to be great. We have the capacity to achieve more than we think we can. And when you were a baby, for instance, you didn't just start walking. You took your first faltering steps. You fell. Your parents encouraged you to stand up again. And then over time, you fell and you got up and you fell and you got up until finally you got your feet under you and you ran to your parents in a new found sense of freedom. And this is really what the dragon in you is all about. And as you see in the carp could not become the dragon unless the dragon, that capacity to become the dragon, was hardwired into the carp. Now, the question that we need to ask ourselves is, why do entrepreneurs need to cultivate the dragon's mindset? And as you see, the entrepreneur's path can be called the road less traveled. You know, most of us are, just like myself, we're solopreneurs, as they say, so that we are working by ourselves in a home office. And in many cases, we're pursuing a vision and a dream that we alone understand, and with no guarantee of success. And so we must be prepared that even though there's no guarantee for success, we must be completely invested in terms of our energy and our time and our money in the pursuit. The easy way is really to just go get a job. And a lot of us, I think a lot of us would prefer to die rather than do that. It's very easy, though, to get spooked if you find yourself alone on a desolate and unsure road, you know. And so it's very easy, as I said, you can easily become overcome by negative thoughts and give up. And so this is why, as an entrepreneur especially, you need really to cultivate the dragon's mindset. So then the question is, what is the dragon's mindset? And my definition of the dragon's mindset is that whole complex of right attitudes, beliefs, and habitual patterns of thinking that contribute to high self-esteem and self-confidence. And notice the word right. It's not just any attitude. It's the right attitudes, the right beliefs, the right habitual patterns of thinking that contribute to high self-esteem and self-confidence. And so the dragon's mindset cuts through all the mental and emotional obstacles that stand in your way. It's a mindset that you could say is invincible. So let us go a little bit more and go into what the dragon's mindset consists of. The right mindset is positive. So as an entrepreneur, you have to be positive. You have to be optimistic, energetic. You have to be engaged in can-do. It must be a can-do way of doing things. It's I am possible, no limits, and it's invincible. Those are all the things that come with having the right mindset. And if you kind of contrast the wrong mindset, what is the wrong mindset? Well, the wrong mindset, or as Zig Ziglar, I think Zig Ziglar was the guy who developed this notion of stinking thinking. And the wrong mindset or stinking thinking, it's negative, it's pessimistic, it's lethargic. We're constrained by can't and by limitation. And instead of I am possible, we're constrained by this whole notion of impossible, can't be done. Now, if you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to have the right mindset as opposed to the wrong mindset or stinking thinking. And so the question now is, how do we go about cultivating the dragon's mindset? Well, for you to know what your mindset is, you have to begin to become aware and to pay attention. You have to pay attention to what is happening inside of you. And so when you start paying attention, you become aware of how conditioned and constrained you are by social forces to conform to society. And what are these social forces? Well, we have our parents, we have our teachers, we have our friends, we have the media, we have religious institutions. And these are necessary social forces, except that a lot of times, because these forces are invested in your health and well-being, they don't want you to go out on a limb and take risk and take chance and all of that. And so they're consistently warning you to be careful and not to do this and not to do that and all of that. And so, you know, you might want to do something and you're told, oh, but you don't have the talent for that, or you can't do that, or so. And these are the kinds of roles that some of these institutions play. Our parents, our teachers, friends, media, religious institutions. They're not necessarily bad, but sometimes, as I say, they're telling us more what we can't do as opposed to what we can do. And so we need to really kind of break out of that. Now, the big question is, how do we become aware and begin to pay attention? And as I said, one of the key things that really gave me that capacity to become aware was that I learned how to meditate. As I said, I discovered the 3 pillars of Zen, and I learned how to meditate. And what meditation does, meditation really takes you into a silence. It's one of the, and in my book, on page 48 of my book, as I said, it's one of the fundamental strategies I use to become aware of my stinking thinking. And, you know, as a Zen practitioner, what I would do is that we go to retreats called sesshin. And in the silence, it's amazing what happens in the silence. We go to a retreat, we sit, we face the wall, and it's incredible the kinds of images that that you become aware of in your head. The images, you hear the kinds of voices that you hear, the negative self-talk, and you begin to feel sometimes the habitual emotional patterns that you get into, your anxieties and your fears. So I'm not saying necessarily that anybody have to practice Zen, but really to have a certain kind of method of introspection, a means of kind of sitting down quietly, you know, during the course of the day, maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, and just really gather yourself and just go into the silence and really use the silence to really feed your creativity. I think Brian Tracy, you all might have heard of Brian Tracy, he talks about really having a ritual of sitting down in the mornings and really developing that whole kind of meditative state and using that meditative state to feed the creativity that he needs as an entrepreneur. As a matter of fact, I do have a program called Mastering Breath Awareness, an MBA in Managing Stress, and I guess if people are interested in that, we can probably ask about that later on. So behind all of the images and the voices that we hear and the habitual emotional patterns, the anxieties, the fears, all of that is what we call the puppet master, the master puppeteer. And the master puppeteer is our ego. And I have a friend who says that your ego is not your amigo. Your ego is not your amigo. And so how do we kind of begin to replace or rewire ourselves for success? Well, one of the things that we do is that we replace negative images with positive images. And we do this through a process called positive visualization. And on page 64 of my book, I have a whole process there where we talk about a vision board, creating a vision board. And I'm sure a lot of people have heard of a vision board and creating a vision board. And the thing is, this is that a lot of times we hear about these things and they seem like common sense, but we don't do them, you know. And I find that the people who are really successful are the ones who really take the action steps and create a vision board. So what would a vision board consist of? It would consist of the images that you would like, you know, that you put on this board, what you would like to do, be, have over the course of, say, the next year, 5 years, so. And then you get a magazine and you cut out the kinds of images that conform to what it is that you want to be. What does success look like to you? And these are images. And so you put it up in a prominent place and just feed your mind these images. What kind of house do you want to have? How much money do you want to earn? Where do you want to travel? All of that. You know, what kind of car you want to drive. You get very specific, and so you get these images and you put them on this vision board, and as you put these images, you just let those images inhabit yourself. The same thing is with replacing negative self-talk with positive self-talk and affirmations. And affirmations are really positive statements in the present tense of what you ideally want to be. So, you know, I am healthy, I am strong, I'm very well, I have the capability to achieve all of the things that I want to achieve. All of those, and those are kinds of positive self-talk. It's really interesting. I was reading a book the other day on neuroscience, and the doctor was saying that most of us as human beings have a tendency to fall into what he called ants, A-N-T. And A-N-T stand for automatic negative thoughts. And the image behind that I see is like you have some ant and you have your brain and you're kind of eating away at your brain and eating away at who you are, those negative thoughts that you have. So again, to replace negative self-talk with positive self-talk. And the last one is cleaning up the toxic emotional river that runs through us on an ongoing basis. Our fears, our anxieties, the I can'ts, you know, the limitations that we feel we have, you know, and all of the ways in which we kind of hold ourselves back. And one of the practices that I found that was really, really very powerful, because I struggled a lot growing up with, you know, negative self-esteem based on the context within which I grew up. And, you know, I was very harsh to myself. I could hear myself speaking in the voice of some of the people who were very harsh to me. I would criticize myself, you idiot, stupid, dumb, you know, and you have this catastrophic worldview. And so one of the things that I did was to begin to practice what I call loving kindness meditation. And I don't have the time to go into that here today, but on page 50 of the book, I talk about a process of that you can do on an ongoing basis that will help to replace your negative self-talk and clean up that kind of toxic emotional river that runs through us on an ongoing basis. So these are three of the critical steps that you can take to rewire yourself for success. And the interesting thing is that we all have the capacity for change. As I said, I was reading this book on neuroscience, and they talk about the plasticity of the brain. So you have a tremendous capacity to rewire the way your brain functions and the way you operate in the world by the habits that you form, and your thinking processes and the emotions that you indulge. So, bottom line, be gentle with yourself, speak to yourself in gentle tones, and have positive images. The other thing that you need to do is to fail your way to success. Interestingly enough, in Zen practice, there is something called, there's a whole notion that they say 7 times down, 8 times up. And really, to get control, as I say, Zen practice is about becoming awakened, enlightened. And one of the, it's not easy to take control of your mind, your body mind, as they say, take control of your emotions and so on. So it's very difficult to even sit down and keep yourself focused and concentrated and calm and quiet for any length of time, you know. And especially in an age where we have so many things coming at us, it's really a difficult process. So one of the things that I learned very early on was that, you know, seven times down, eight times up. So what is failure? Failure is when you really kind of lay on the ground, you get knocked down, and you lay on the ground and allow yourself to be counted out. You never fail if you're getting up. And the other thing about failure is that failure is really a means to your success. And this is why they talk about failing your way to success. The person I heard talking about this years ago was a seminar colleague of mine, and he declared triumphantly that he was feeling his way to success. And then, you know, I couldn't really kind of grasp that. And a lot of us, we don't really take the steps that we need to take because we fear failure, and so we don't really go to the edge and push ourselves to the limit and literally learn how to fly. If you're going to fly, you have to kind of go to the image and step off into thin air. So here's the thing that they say about Thomas Edison. And he is somebody, I don't know if you, all of you should really kind of hear about Thomas Edison. He was the guy that invented the light bulb. And it is said that Thomas Edison, it took him some 10,000 experiments in order to really discover the whole process of creating the light bulb. And he's reported to have said in his effort to invent the light bulb, that if I find 10,000 ways something won't work, I haven't failed. I'm not discouraged, because every wrong attempt discarded is another step forward. So really, failure is really another way, an opportunity for us to really begin to understand what it is to win. A failure is just a result. It's not a condemnation of who you are. It's not a judgment of who you are as a person. Rather, the most interesting thing is that the most successful people in the world are the ones who fail the most. Here's one of the things that Michael Jordan, the great basketball player, said. He said, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. So again, another way is to fail your way to success, in addition to those other points that we made about cultivating the dragon's mindset. Now, when you do all of that, what you're literally doing is that you're cutting the puppeteer string. And once you cut the puppeteer string, you know, you're no longer then driven by your ego. Your ego is not your amigo, and it's your ego that is constantly kind of telling you, oh, you can't do this, or look at me, or poor me, or why does this happen to me? Or we have these images in our head of failure and fear and all of that. When you cut the puppeteer string, what you begin to do is that you begin to reside in the big self. And the big self really manifests itself as the dragon, that unstoppable you. Your big self is unstoppable. It's unlimited. It can take on anything. The dragon in you looks and it says, you know, it wonders, you know, why not? Why shouldn't I do this? You know, and as we said, it's unlimited, unbounded. And when you reside in this big self, then nothing, you know, really stops you. You become the dragon, and you become free, and you become, as an entrepreneur, you pursue your dreams with passion. And when you do that and invest yourself in a wholehearted manner, there is nothing that you cannot accomplish. So being an entrepreneur is really, as we say, taking that road less traveled and challenging yourself in so many different kinds of ways. It's a wonderful way to be. When you really break through and you make that success, you really become the master or the mistress of your own destiny and your own fate. So here's the summary of what we've talked about. We talked about cultivating the dragon's mindset. And as entrepreneurs, we really do need to cultivate the dragon's mindset. And the dragon's mindset is that the right attitude and the right behaviors that will take you to where you want to go. So the way to do that, you need to develop awareness, become self-aware, and see what are the various ways in which you kind of hold yourself back, the images you have in your head, the emotions that you have, and the things that you think about on an ongoing basis. So how you talk to yourself. And the strategies that we're suggesting is to use positive visualization, engage in positive self-talk, practice loving kindness meditation, and fail your way to success. Now, if you're interested in getting the book is available on Amazon, Amazon.com. And Mike will announce a very special offer that we're offering for individuals who are on this call or would like to take advantage of this book. The thing about this book is it's chock full of tips, tools, techniques, strategies, and what I share in the book, it's grounded in my experience. You know, it's not just theory. It's grounded in my lived experience, and the things that I talk about. I share a lot about my life, using my life as a case study for implementing some of these strategies. So that's the difference. It's not theory. It's all about how applied knowledge. All right. So Mike, there we go.
Fantastic. One of the things that I really liked about your book is one of the many aspects is that it is like for the advanced entrepreneur or that teen in your family that really kind of lacks direction and needs some encouragement. I find that for a teen, because I'm the stepfather of a couple of them. Uh, Getting them in the right mindset is truly very important. So if not for yourself, the book is a great deal for anybody in your family who sort of lacks direction or focus. I like the way it really kind of helps you set the foundation for building greatness,
Yes.
and how it can help you build more confidence so that you have more self-esteem and you can speak with
Yep.
conviction, whether it be friends or clients, and really helps you kind of establish your brand.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
then so much more. So here's the book. It is available on Amazon. I talked Larry into promoting the book, the Kindle version of the book, for because right now it's selling for $19.99 on sale for $17.99 for just $2.99. So this is for a very limited time, and just for you guys on my list.
And we want to encourage people to Mike to put some reviews in on Amazon if they see the book and they like the book. But interestingly enough, you talk about those young people, and I've been lately meeting young people who have gone off to university. There was a young lady that I met the other day who spent $60,000 and 3 years and then dropped out because she realized that what it is that she was looking to do, she wasn't interested in that any at all. So what I help people to do is to identify their mission, their life purpose, their skills and talents, and how they blend their skills and talents and their purpose into a mission that really kind of galvanize and get them out of bed in the morning and get them going into the adventures of their lives. So yes, it's even if they don't buy it for themselves, save yourself $60,000 if you're a parent. Save yourself the agony and the frustration of your kid going to college and then dropping out and coming home and going onto the sheets and being depressed, because I know that as a situation that I'm familiar with.
Yeah, that happens. Happens very often, where they get into college, and the book is really great for career guidance.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
I mean, one of the kids that we sent off to college, yeah, it just wasn't the right thing for him. But once they find what they want to do, it's just important to get to that point, right? And
Absolutely.
once they do, then you'll see a big transformation in them as far as their desire to succeed. So
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things that I did, I mean, as a parent, was that I brought my son up on the concepts and ideas I share in the book, just as in the same way that I was giving him Pablum. I fed him all of those ideas, and now, I'm happy to say that he's in university and a really self-directed young man who knows what he wants and what he's about. And so I'm just kind of crossing my finger too, because anything can happen. And I'm not boasting, but it's nice to know that your kid knows what they're about. So what I really teach in the book, it's about the mission, the mindset, and the moves that you need to make. The mission that you need to have, the mindset you need to cultivate, and then the moves. And the rest of the book, the other six strategies, are the moves that you would make to find your way and to the success that you really want to create.
yeah, the one thing that I did notice the in the book, the interaction with your son is a lesson for any parent, to be honest with you.
Yes,
The guidance that you gave him is extraordinary, and I was really impressed with how you handled some of his questions, his personal
yes,
questions about
yes,
how to succeed and how to venture forth. So
yes.
so with that, I will be sending out a link to all the goodies, and you can take advantage of that. Just keep in mind, it's easy to put a Kindle Reader on PC or Mac. You can download it for free from Amazon, so you can read books that way. And they're of course it'll work for any type of Kindle book.
Yeah,
So again, I want to thank you, Larry, for giving us a great presentation and in cultivating the dragon mindset.
yeah,
We know how important it is, obviously, being entrepreneurs.
yes.
So with that, I'm going to sign off, and I hope everybody has a great day.
Wonderful. Thanks, Mike.